All right, what's going on, everyone? This is
What is
Catfish on
up?
episode 76. Am I correct, Rich? Episode 76?
76. Unbelievable.
Yeah, starting to lose track of them.
It is.
Thank
I
you,
had to
everyone.
check earlier.
Yeah, right. I find myself doing the same. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for episode 76 of Catfish on Ice. You'll have to excuse me if I sound a little down, if I sound a little crushed today, but I am a Titans fan, and today has been not the way to have your Monday because our beloved King Derrick Henry might miss the entire season and crush our Super Bowl hopes. And luckily, there's no bad Preds news today, at least not that I know of. Rich, please do not. Rich, can you not fill me in on any bad Preds news? I'd appreciate it.
There's none. There's none that I can think of. So I think we're good. Yeah, I saw that about Henry yesterday or today. I was like, oh my gosh, man. So
yeah,
horrible.
Yeah, it was very tough. I woke up this morning to the news. Like everyone pulls out their phone when they wake up in the morning, and that was literally the first thing that popped up was this article saying best trade partners for the Titans to replace Derrick Henry. And I thought it was like a satire. I thought it was like The Onion, like somebody making some kind of type of funny article. And I'm like, who wrote this? And then I'm like, it's Pro Football Focus. They're one of the top sports football websites out there. I'm like, what happened? And so then I started doing my joke. It didn't take long for me to figure out that Derrick Henry might be out for the season. Doom and gloom, like horrible stuff. It's got everyone crushed. So we're going to shift away from the Titans and focus on the positive tonight as we talk about the Nashville Predators, and they have a 3-game winning streak going right now. They got their gutsy, most impressive win of the season over the New York Islanders on Saturday. In my opinion, it's the most impressive win of the season out of the 4. That's just me, but I think it was.
It was pretty good. I mean, it was kind of thrilling.
We'll touch on it. Yeah, we'll touch on that. We'll touch on that in the episode tonight. We have a jam-packed episode, everyone. First of all, we hope all of our listeners had a really happy Halloween with their families and friends. We saw some good costumes from some of the Preds players. I know I saw Rocco Grimaldi out there with his wife, Abby Grimaldi, wearing the Toon Squad Space Jam jerseys. That was pretty good. Mm-hmm. That was awesome. So, hope everyone had a great Halloween. Let's let you know what we got going for you on episode 76, brought to you by DraftKings, and we are part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We have a salute to a Preds legend. We lost a Preds legend last season with Pecorine retiring. Now we have another Preds legend retiring. Didn't play for the Preds on the ice, but guess what? This person had a major impact on Preds hockey in the South. Yep. That is Terry Crisp, who has announced his retirement after this season ends. So we still have almost a full season left to appreciate him. But we are going to do our opening face-off, saluting the best, Terry Crisp. So stay tuned for that. We've also got Kyle Perkins joining the podcast for another edition of Perk's Picks this Monday. He's going to give us his best picks from this past week. So get ready for that. We've also got to get into our prospects. We haven't done a prospect report since the season started. No. And it's so awesome to see all these leagues playing hockey again under normal circumstances, because last season, it really affected the prospects the most when it can't. A lot of these smaller leagues didn't even get to play.
Not at all.
It's awesome to see the AHL, all these leagues playing again. You're seeing all these overseas leagues playing, and you're getting to see all these prospects get plenty of playing time. So we've got a lot to get into there. I know Rich has got some prospects to get us caught up with. I've got some as well. And also, we've got an awesome interview lined up for you. We've got Jennifer Lindell. She goes to Austin Peay State University. She is studying sports communications. She is an avid hockey fan. She grew up an LA Kings fan. She came from Colorado, where she followed the Avs. She knows a lot about hockey, and now she's going to start following the Preds. She's at Austin Peay State University. She was kind enough to join the podcast, talk about the Preds, talk about what got her into hockey, talk about all kinds of stuff. So we can't wait to give you that interview later in this episode. So as I said, jam-packed episode.
Lots of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff to get into. Let's start it off with our salute to Terry Crisp, who has been covering the Preds since the expansion season. And when I can go ahead and tell you right now, someone like Terry Crisp was so instrumental to getting this market on board with hockey. And I remember from a very early time as a kid, literally as a kid, seeing hockey on my screen and having a local team, the Nashville Predators. And I remember him. I remember knowing nothing about – I knew nothing about hockey other than get that little black thing into the net. That's really all I knew. And fighting. I knew about the fighting. I knew about Wayne Gretzky. I kind of had an early fandom for the Detroit Red Wings because I was a kid and I just wanted to cheer for the best team, which was the Red Wings. You had Steve Yzerman, you had Sergei Fedorov, you had Chris Osgood, you had Nicholas Lidstrom, you had all these great players for the Red Wings. So I cheered for them, but I did not know the ins and outs and X's and O's of the sport at all. I can credit Terry Crisp in his coverage of the Preds through all these years for really like bringing this whole hockey market together. And so he announced his retirement after this season. And Rich, just kind of like tell me how you feel about Terry Crisp and what you thought about the announcement.
A little side note. I went to a New York Rangers game back in 2019, me and my wife, and I actually have a picture with Terry Crisp and Pete Weber.
Oh, very cool.
That's pretty cool. If you don't like Crispy, there's something wrong with you. He is like a ball of energy and like really good at what he does, and he's been doing it for a long time. And I know I read reading up on a little bit about him that he came to do this Predators gig back in '98 just as he was going to do it for one game, and that was it. And then he liked it so much, I guess they decided to keep him on. But him and Pete Weber are credited with basically teaching Nashville people what hockey was. So that's
absolutely awesome. And I can't overlook Pete Weber either. Right. Pete Weber, who does the radio broadcast now, he is mesmerizing when you listen to Pete Weber on the radio. Oh, yeah. I mean, he literally illustrates it so perfectly. But he does the radio broadcast. But in the early days and for a long time, it was Pete Weber and Terry Crisp on the call on TV. Yeah. And they were you want to talk about a dynamic duo in the booth? Yeah, right. It's Terry Crisp and Pete Weber. Yeah, but awesome. Terry Crisp, I mean, one of the things I love about Terry Crisp is he brings so much genuine hockey knowledge to the so he does the intermission reports now locally for Bally Sports South. And every time he does his intermission reports, I can't miss it. Like I want to know, what did the team do wrong? What did the team do well? He breaks it down for you, and he dumbs it down for the casual hockey fan because hockey is a very complex sport. If you didn't grow up playing the game, if you didn't grow up studying the game, it's a very difficult sport. Terry Crisp makes it very palatable for even the casual fan, and he's so good at that. He's so genuine. He's funny. He has a wealth of knowledge. He was a coach and a player, won a Stanley Cup with the Calgary Flames as a head coach. He knows the game better than anyone you could ask for. And so it's going to be a tough loss for the broadcast, but I am totally so happy for him to announce it because I know that he's ready to do some other things with his life, I'm sure, but tough loss for us.
It is. Yeah. It's good for him though, because I read a little bit of the article that was on Predators website, and it said something about he asked his wife, he's like, did you ever think that we would like spend our golden years in Nashville? And
right.
And now it's like his home. So it's really awesome that they're going to get to hang out and not have to travel and do that schedule. So good for them.
For sure.
Sad for us, but
sad for us. Good for him. So he 536 games as a player in his career. Played from 1965-66 season to 1977. Played with the St. Louis Blues, Philadelphia Flyers, Boston Bruins, and New York Islanders over that time. But most of his career was with the Blues and the Flyers. Just incredible career.
2 Stanley Cups with the Flyers as a player. So
And he won a Stanley Cup as a coach as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is
that was playing back when it was like rougher than it is now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He knows the game. So, yeah, he coached the Calgary Flames for 3 seasons, then coached the Tampa Bay Lightning, which –
yeah, I saw that too.
The expansion team, Tampa Bay Lightning, up until 98, and won a Stanley Cup as a coach in his second season as head coach with the Calgary Flames, coached them to 117 points that season.
That's
amazing. That's insane. So, just awesome for a legend right there. Just awesome. Happy for you, Terry Chris. We get one more season to enjoy your analysis, and I'm sure we'll still get some good analysis from him even after he officially retires. But tough news for us, because we're greedy like that. We're greedy as fans.
We lost Pecorine. Now we're losing Terry Crisp.
We're losing all of our classic Preds that we love so much. Either whether they're going to other teams or, part of it, though. Got to accept change, I guess.
It's going to happen. We don't have to like it, though.
We don't have – exactly. We don't have to like it. All right, let's talk a little bit about the game. So the Preds beat the Islanders in a very – this is why I say this is the most impressive win of the season. I know they've only won 4 games, so that's not really saying a whole lot. But the reason why I think this is the most impressive win of the season is they really had to work for this. This was not a game handed to them whatsoever. And honestly, I did not have a lot of faith in them winning this game because it seemed impossible even for the Preds to score 1 goal early on in this game. The Islanders were playing their defensive game plan perfectly. They were building this shell in their zone where the Preds just couldn't crack it. They couldn't get in. They couldn't get any high-quality shots. You got Sorokin, who is coming off back-to-back shutouts. And you're just like, I don't know how the Preds are going to get a goal in this game. I was really feeling that way. And then what do you know? Right. I'm not trying to rhyme, but I'm going to rhyme. What do you know, Tanner Jeannot?
Right, there you go.
He scores his first goal of this game, first of 2. He scores this goal on a seemingly, not even a really a dangerous attack at all. He's kind of skating up the boards on the outside circle and just beats Sorokin. He just kind of sneaks it by him. And it's like, there you go. Preds are tied 1-1. Just when you think the Preds can't figure out a way to score, they sneak one by. And that kind of speaks to what this team wants to do, which is throw pucks at the net. And that's kind of what Tanner Jeannot was thinking there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I didn't know if you wanted to do this or not, but change the name of the show to the Tanner Jeannot Show.
It would probably work just fine.
What an impressive showing by him, man. 2 goals.
4 goals on the season now.
4 goals on the season. Like you said, that shot to open the scoring for them, it wasn't anything amazing, but hey, man, it did, like you said, it did what they needed to do. Just so glad to see that the scoring is distributed evenly over all the lines. So that's a good thing. For sure. That's a good sign. So
and then Jeannot scores his second goal, doing what he does best, which is just getting in that dirty area in front of the net. Again, this is how the Preds are going to have to score goals this season, is in that dirty area. And I want to give a lot of credit to my guy, Matt Benning, who no one seems to ever talk about. I know he's not going to be some star player on this team. I get that. But how much have me and you both said, let's get Mark Borowiecki and Matt Benning, who was originally together when they were signed, back on that third pairing. Let's get some stability. We know they're not going to be offensive type of players. But honestly, you don't need that from your third pairing defenseman. Here's what you need from your third pairing defenseman. Don't make critical mistakes. Be in the right place at the right time. Be a hard hitter. Just block shots. Protect your goaltender. And look at Matt Benning. He skates this puck up the boards, holds on to possession, makes a really smart play to get the puck towards the net, and Tanner Jeannot finishes it off. That ties the game very late in the game. So
that's what you need.
All the kudos to Matt Benning for figuring out a way to make that play happen. I know we love Tanner Jeannot. That's a great second goal. But that play and that goal doesn't happen if Matt Benning doesn't make that play. And the Preds lose that game if Matt Benning doesn't make that play.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree 100%. stop messing around with the third pairing. Leave Benning and Borowiecki in there until they give you reason to take them out.
I mean, exactly, because they're smart. They're Borowiecki and Benning. They're at least smart veteran players. They know what they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to make mistakes, but that's why they're on the third pairing. No one's saying they're a top pairing Roman Josi type defender, but they can play their roles on that third pairing just fine. So I loved seeing Matt Benning make that play to kind of prove that. So that was huge. We have a poll question here we shared right ahead of the episode, and that was, who is surprising you the most through the first 8 games? And Rich, you got in on it and said, I don't think there's anything but one right answer to this. And you know what, Rich? I think you're kind of overlooking it a little bit here.
I'm thinking
I know what I already knew what the popular answer was going to be. Yeah. And let's go ahead and give you the choices. It's Tanner Jeannot, Ryan Johansson, Phil Tomasino, and Tommy Novak. The most surprising players, not the best players, not the players that are playing as well as you expected them to play. I'm talking about the most surprising players. And big shocker here, just like everything else, Tanner Jeannot's running away with it. He's got 69% of the vote. Ryan Johansson's got 16%. Phil Tomasino's got 6%. And Tommy Novak's got 9%. I'm a little surprised that Tomasino is so low at 6%.
Yeah. It's when you think about the question, like, we really shouldn't be surprised at what Tanner Jeannot's
doing. That's my point.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of a trick question there.
It is. Everybody's just like, everybody's so hyped on Tanner Jeannot right now. They just see his name and they're like,
yeah, they just can't help but push. They can't. Yeah, exactly. But I personally voted for Tommy Novak because how can you not say he's the most surprising so far? I mean, no one even expected him to be in the starting lineup. And not only is he in the starting lineup, but he's sticking. He's played several games in a row now. He is a mainstay on the fourth line. I don't know how he only has 9% of the vote. He should definitely be the most surprising player, in my opinion. But I also threw Ryan Johansson in there because he's been under a dark cloud for a while, and I got to give him a lot of credit for playing well and living up to the first-line center expectations so far. So I put him on there as well. He's got 16%. I put Phil Tomasino on there just because he had never played an NHL game. And so there was probably a little bit of a doubt on how well he was going to do. True. And I know I know he's kind of like simmered down a little bit lately, but still I wanted to see what the measuring stick was there. But Tanner Jeannot runs away with it with 69% of the vote so far. So that poll's got a lot of time left. So we'll update that poll when it ends. But right now,
that's awesome.
Right now, Tanner Jeannot is running away with it. So we'll see how that finishes off. Maybe I can persuade some fans who haven't voted yet to maybe think about it. Because I think Tommy Novak's the most surprising.
I think your case for Tommy Novak is a good point. Didn't start the season.
My case rests. My case rests.
I rest my case.
Rest my case.
There you go.
All right. Yeah. We got Kyle Perkins joining us here very, very soon for Perk's Picks. He's going to join live here in a few minutes, so stay tuned for that. But until we get to that, let's move on to the next portion of our episode 76, brought to you by DraftKings. Our promo code THPN is what you need to be using if you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. As we do every Monday, I got Monday Night Football on in the background. And we are competing with Peyton and Eli, and that's pretty tough company.
Yeah,
I'm sure people can't get enough of them. I cannot get enough of watching Peyton and Eli do the Monday night broadcast. But we're going to try our best to compete with them. I don't think it's going to work out in our favor, but going head-to-head with Peyton and Eli on Monday Night Football is probably not the best. But here we go. We're trying.
A lot of people like those dudes, man. A lot of people like
those guys. People can't get enough of them. All right, we haven't done a prospect report yet since the season started, and I'm telling you, there are so many reasons to be excited about all these prospects in the Preds system right now. We've talked about a lot of them before the season started, but now we want to update you on how they're faring so far in their respective seasons, whether they're playing overseas, they're playing with the Milwaukee Admirals, Rich, how about you start us off with a few prospects that you've really been tracking so far?
Yeah, so I don't do a very good job of keeping up with like a lot of the prospects. Obviously, we keep up with like Igor Afanasyev and Zachary LaRue and the guys, that we hear a lot about. But one guy that is making a big, huge impact is in the OHL, London Knights, is Luke Evangelista.
Yes.
So, like I've heard people talking about him a little bit and saw some stuff, but I looked up his stats. So they've only played 8 games so far. He's got 15 points so far in 8 games, 10 goals and 5 assists.
Oh, he's lighting it up. I mean, he's like the story of the league right now. Like, I mean, amazing. And the goals he's scoring are like pretty amazing goals. We've retweeted a couple of his goals on the podcast webpage on the Twitter profile, so go check that out. Yeah. But yeah, Luke Evangelista, he's the 2nd round pick from 2020.
19 years old. Yep.
19 years old, and he's kind of going on that track that Philip Tomasino went on, and Igor Afanasyev went on. He's in that OHL right now, and he's tearing it up. And eventually, you're going to see him make that climb up to the AHL, and he's right on that path that you really want to see him at. So that is really, really awesome.
Later. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so kudos to him. We'll be seeing him soon.
These recent draft picks are starting to look really, really promising by David Boyle.
Yeah.
Going back to 2019, so the last 3 drafts, 2019, 2020, and this 2021 draft classes, they are all showing very promising returns right now.
I like it. Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, I got one here. This one's not as well known among the prospect class, but it's a player that really made a big impact in the prospect development camp before the season started, and now he just got into the AHL for the first time. Grant Mismash.
Yes, he scored
the other night. Which is another great name. Just love the name.
We do have a lot of cool names.
We do. So Grant Mismash has now played in 2 games for the Admirals so far, and he's got 2 goals already.
There you go.
Pretty good start. Now, we will say that the Admirals as a team are off to a rough start. They're 1-4. Kind of a little bit surprising, I got to say, because I feel like the Admirals are a loaded team. But one thing you got to remember with these minor league teams is it's really hard to build chemistry early on because you're constantly getting players plucked. You're constantly changing the rosters up. So it's hard to get that chemistry going. I feel like they're going to figure it out. They'll be fine. But the Milwaukee Admirals are off to a little bit of a slow start this season in their respective season. But Grant Mismash, yes, is a very good player, comes out of a very, very good program out of college, the University of North Dakota, which just played a game at Bridgestone Arena over the weekend against Penn State. And it looked like a North Dakota home game.
I saw that.
I mean, there was green everywhere. So it was a really cool Saturday for Bridgestone Arena hockey because you had the Preds play matinee hockey, get the win, and then you saw all these University of North Dakota fans. That's a very good program, like a national championship contending team every year. And so Grant Mismash comes from that program, played with them all the way up until last season. So now he's finally starting to get his first professional experience. And so he's going to be a really fun player to watch in Milwaukee this year. Grant Mismash. He's already signed with the Predators. He's a 2017 draft pick in the 2nd round. So he was signed before his collegiate years started. So that a lot of teams take that route sometimes when you got a really good player. He's a center left winger, 6'1", shoots left-handed. And 22 years old now, so he's a lot further along than what you see some of these other prospects. And so he's a player who could be very close to getting to the NHL level starting like next season if he really takes off.
Yeah, I remember him scoring a couple of goals in the development camp. He looked pretty good.
I kind of put him in the same class, only he's a forward, but I put him on the same class as David Ferentz. He's the type of player where he got college experience. He's going a much different route than going the OHL route or going that route. He's going that route where he's already played 4 years of top-end collegiate experience. And so now it's going to be fun to watch him in Milwaukee this season.
Absolutely. Something else about Milwaukee is they plucked their goaltender from them, so that might be giving them some fits.
That's probably not good. We got Devin Cooley down there as their main goaltender right now.
Yep. So that might have a little bit to do.
All right, I know you got one that's another fan favorite right now. He's also your fantasy team name.
Yes, Mr. Zachary Leroux with the mullet, playing for the Halifax Mooseheads in the QMJHL.
The Halifax Mooseheads is another outstanding. These minor league team names are like incredible.
They're so fun. Yeah, I like them. So I've never been to the Halifax Mooseheads website, but him and
you haven't? Not sure wait a minute, Rich. You don't check the Halifax Mooseheads website every day?
I don't. I should.
What are you doing every day, man? I thought you were on top of it.
I'm not on top of it apparently, but
that should be one of your top bookmarks.
When you go to the website, 2 pictures on there. One's somebody I don't know. The other one is Zachary Leroux. I think he's a fan favorite up there as well. So far they've played 8 games. He has 14 points, 4 goals, 10 assists. But in their last game or the game before, he had a goal and 5 assists in one game.
Wow,
that's pretty strong.
A 6-point game.
A 6-point game. And
I don't care what level of hockey you're playing at. You put 6 points up in a game, you're pretty damn special.
You are.
I'm just going to leave that right there.
Yeah, so we all know the story about him not getting drafted very high because everybody thought he was a risk or whatever. But I think this guy's going to turn out to be a really good pick for the Predators. So everybody likes him. I know that we all like him, and people on that follow the Preds like him a lot. So can't wait to see him make that jump. It'll be a few years, but he's showing promise. I like it. So good stuff.
He is. We got a few years, but again, another great draft pick, it looks like, and that's Zachary Leroux. Speaking of that, we've got a big Zachary Leroux fan joining right now, and that is...
There's a Zach Perkins. Leroux fan.
Yes, sir. Okay, all right. I heard y'all talking about the minor league logos and everything. There is a minor league baseball team from Madison, Alabama, called the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
That's awesome.
Their logo is literally a raccoon in a trash can with rocket boosters on the bottom of it. It's amazing. Blake Sulzer, that's on Twitter, he interacts with us quite a bit. He put me onto them. I really want to get one of their hats.
I like it a lot. And the trash panda thing, that's hilarious.
I loved it. I thought it was
that's very
exceptionally great.
Yeah, we were just talking about Zachary Leroux a little bit, and we were thinking about changing the name of the show to the Tanner Jeannot Show instead of Catfish on Ice, since everybody loves.
I think that would play well. We're gonna stick with Catfish on Ice, but Tanner Jeannot Show would if someone else is trying to start a podcast out there, the Tanner Jeannot Show would be excellent.
Yeah, it's just all about Tanner Jeannot, like an hour-long podcast, and it's all about
right.
I made a meme the other day.
And Tanner Jeannot's the guest every episode. Every episode, the special guest is Tanner Jeannot.
Absolutely. That would be amazing.
I made a meme the other day, and it was Patrick from SpongeBob telling SpongeBob that hero worship is not okay. And then he's pulling his little wagon, and he's got Tanner Jeannot in the wagon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's kind of accurate.
We all like Jeannot, that's for sure.
It's very accurate. All right, yeah. So we're in this prospect talk here, and Kyle, I know before we get to your Perks picks, I know you follow the prospects very closely as well.
Yes.
How about you throw one in for us? One that you're really like. We talked about Zachary Leroux. We know that you are big fan of Zachary Leroux and how he plays. Very similar style to Tanner Jeannot, so we can get on board with that. But give us another prospect that you're really tracking this season that's really standing out to you.
Fyodor Svechkov over in Russia. He had a really slow start to the season. If you look at the SKA system, they are loaded. There's not a salary cap over there, so basically it's like, okay, we want you. Any NHL player that can't get a contract, we're going to get you too.
Yeah, that's like when they were trying to get Yakov Trenin and were offering him a big boatload of money, and we were like, no, don't take him. But
Yeah. So basically, he started out as the 13th forward on SKA, the big team, and then he got bumped down to SKA Neva, which is their kind of AHL team, as you could put it in comparison to over here. They've been playing him at number 1 left wing, I believe. But he's just had a really slow start to the season. Not a lot of chemistry, but he's come from a completely different system and style of play that he was used to at his junior level team. But today in today's game, he ended up with a beautiful assist, a primary assist, and a goal. So
there you go.
Starting to look up a little bit. Yaroslav Askarov, also in the SKA system. He's had a very shaky start, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all.
We don't like to hear that.
I think the majority of the issue with it is he is not getting consistent starts.
No.
You have the main goalie in SKA, who I'm thinking his last name is Johansson. Can't quote me on that. They've got a lot of goalies. But he normally is sitting on the bench behind him. He's come in a couple of times in relief, and he's had a few starts here and there. But you can tell the spot starts are really not doing him a lot of good.
Yeah.
He looks.
His goals against average still looks pretty good, though. I mean, he's five game. I'm looking on Elite Prospects here. He's got 5 games this year for the KHL level with 2 goals against average. His save percentage is a little low, and then he's got 2 games in the VHL, which is like the minor league system of the KHL. And his goals against average looks good, but you are right though. I've seen a couple clips where he's given up a little bit of what I would say maybe some soft goals or whatever. But there's a lot of to what you're saying, Kyle, as far as he's not the regular player there right now. He is buried in the depth chart, if you will, down with SKA right now, which is a really from what I understand, SKA is like a top tier team in the KHL. So
they're built to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams every year.
Yeah. So they've got tons of money.
Yeah.
Lots of
money.
You've got to wonder what his future looks like before he actually comes over to North America, and that's going to be the most interesting thing to watch is how that all works out. Kyle, do you know his exact contract status? I know he's under contract, but
hold on one second. I will look it up.
He's looking it up. I thought that it was this year and next, possibly, but I don't know that for a fact. So
I want to say 22.
Because what I'm really trying, where I'm really trying to get here is, we really won't know what his. I mean, everyone expects him with he has all the tools. All the scouts have already pretty much said, like, look, this guy's got all the tools to be the next great franchise goaltender. But we won't really know it for sure until we see him play North American hockey. KHL hockey is completely different the way it's played than over here. And so let's see him a year in Milwaukee when he finally gets over here. He might do exactly what Connor Ingram did and just dominate it. And that's what we expect. But we won't know for sure until we see him as a regular starter. One thing I will say, I cannot wait for this year's World Juniors because first of all, I can't believe it's already been almost a year because I feel like it was not that long ago that I was sitting in a hotel room watching the World Juniors of 2020 and got to see Askarov play. And so he's going to be a part of that Russian team again. And so that will be a good measuring stick to see how he performs in that.
It kind of makes you wonder what happened, why he's not getting starts. Like, I wonder what happened to make that happen or why he's not. It's a little strange, but who knows?
They're not a super great developmental team. Think of Vegas. They're a win right now. They're a win right now team. They're not worried about developing guys. From what I can find on Elite Prospects and whatnot, it looks like he's under contract 21-22, so his first season over in North America will be 22-23. And I'd love to see him go to Milwaukee. I think at this point, with the usage he's getting, definitely Milwaukee, no doubt about it.
Once his contract's up or whatever, and his contractual obligations, I would expect him to promptly come to the Milwaukee Admirals, and that's going to be fun to watch. But, of course, Igor Afanasyev is everyone's favorite prospect right now as well. I already brought up Grant Mismash, Kyle, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite prospects. I'm really happy that he's playing for the Admirals right now. But, Afanasyev, he is a lot of us would like to see him on the NHL right now, but we really want to see what he can do with a full body of work in Milwaukee this year. He's got 5 games under his belt, a goal and 3 assists is what I'm looking at here. And, it's still so early. I'm not going to read too much into it, how many points he has and all that. But I really got to start watching some more of these games for Milwaukee, because I really want to see how comfortable he is and what he's doing out there. And because it's his first experience on the North American side playing hockey other than preseason stuff. So this is all really new to him. And he's still productive early on. He's still being productive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've got to watch 1 or 2 of that Admirals games, and he doesn't look out of place at all.
Good.
So
That's awesome.
There's a lot to look forward to there.
That's awesome.
For sure.
Hey, before we get to Perk's picks, Lindsay has joined us, our friend Lindsay.
What's up, Lindsay?
She's in the fantasy league with us. She says she has a very important question for us.
All right.
And it is, do Jeannot and I don't know, whichever Tkachuk plays for Calgary, I don't know which one it is.
Matthew Tkachuk.
Matthew, okay. Does Jeannot and Chucky fight tomorrow night? Are they going to get in a fight?
It's I would go over the 50% range. I would say it's more likely than not.
I'm not going to say it'll be Tanner, but I'd say him and somebody's going to be into it before
Yakov. I feel like Yakov Trent starts more fights than Tanner Jeannot.
Yeah, he does. I agree.
If you look at it this year, Matt Benning has thrown hands more than just about anybody on the team.
Dude, Matt Benning is I was heaping praise on Matt Benning earlier in this episode for the play he made to find Jeannot in that crucial equalizing goal. That play does not happen if Ben Harper is in his place. I'm just going to drop the mic right there.
Absolutely not.
That's a Preds loss. That is a Preds loss, and I know I'm preaching to your choir right now, Kyle. But, I know Matt Benning is not an offensive player at all, but you don't need your third defensive pairing player to be offensive players. You just need them to not be liabilities, and I feel like Matt Benning is, for the most part, not a liability out there, and you know he's going to play hard. You know he's going to make plays like he made there. That was a very impressive, critical play. When I watch the replay of that play and I see him skating up the boards and holding possession of the puck, I'm like, wait a minute, is that really Matt Benning? Because he's not going to be confused as an offensive player. But he made an outstanding play to get that puck to the net. And Tanner Jeannot finished it off.
He's experienced. We'll give him that. That's what we want to see.
Yep.
So Lindsay says, Lindsay is a huge Calgary Flames fan. She likes David Riddick, who's now the backup for UC Saros, just for everybody. She says she's excited for the game. It's going to be rough because she's such a fan of both teams, newer Predator fan. And she says 6-game winning streak versus a 3-game winning streak. It's going to be a good game. Yes, it will be.
Hey, so Lindsay, you're not going to hurt our feelings if you say you're going to be going for the Flames. You're not going to hurt our feelings. Absolutely we get it. You were a Flames fan before you were a Predators fan. The Predators can be your second team, and we will be perfectly okay with that. But I've also seen you cheer for the Sharks out there. We can't be having none of that now.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
They better fall behind the Preds in your list of fandoms. But we'll allow you to have the Flames as your first team. That's perfect.
She has a Hurdle jersey. So
I'll tell you what the Flames. They look impressive though. They do. They are really impressive.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. She says she's wearing a Flames Riddick jersey. So hey man. That's awesome.
There you go.
We know that's your team. So
let's get into Perk's picks here. Yeah. Let's get into that. Before we get into that real quick, I do got to give a shout out to our sponsor, DraftKings. NFL fans, I know you're hungry for another big week in the NFL. And guess what? I know we're a Preds podcast, but I know we have a lot of Titans fans listening right now too. I'm here for you. Today has been a very hard day for me. the Aaron Rodgers meme that's been made famous where he's laying on his side and his chin strap's covering his nose. That was literally me when I woke up this morning. I thought I was reading a satire article when I read a headline that said top trade targets for the Titans to replace Derrick Henry. And I'm like, what is this? What am I reading? Like, is someone trying to be funny? Is someone trying to be like live in fantasy land? And then I'm like, I start doing some digging, and it didn't take me long to realize, holy crap, Derrick Henry might miss the rest of the season. So today's been a rough day. It's been a rough day, but guess what? Still another big week coming up for the NFL fans on the DraftKings Sportsbook app with our promo code THPN, where you can win $200 in free bets. All you got to do is bet $5 on any NFL team. Might not want to bet on the Titans this week, just giving you some free advice. But throw those $5 on a different NFL team, and if they win, you get $200 in free bets. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN, just $5 to bet on any NFL team to win their game and win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win with promo code THPN this week at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years or older in New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or if you're in Indiana, please call 1-800-9. With it, I would bet on the Rams with your $5 and go ahead and win you $200.
I was just going to say, did you just give out like professional betting advice? Don't bet on the Titans.
I did.
So that's like
just throw those $5 on the Rams. I think you'll be okay, and you'll get those. You'll get those $200 in free bets. Then you roll that $200 into a bigger bet on the Titans when Derrick Henry comes back. All right, that's the end of my betting segment on the NFL. Let's get back down to business here. Let's get to Perk's picks this week. I'm really excited to hear what Kyle Perkins has for us this week on his edition of Perk's Picks. Everyone buckle up and let's listen.
All right, so we're going to start out with unsung heroes.
Ooh, okay.
I'm thinking about what we were just talking about, Matt Benning, Yakov Trenin.
Yes.
There's a lot of guys that aren't showing up on the score sheet that are, well, Benning did with an assist, but Trenin, that first goal that Jano scores, if he does not have that screen and do the jump screen in front of the goalie and taking out the defender, if he doesn't do that, that goal never happens. And it's just so many guys everybody's pulling the rope.
I love it.
It's been a group effort, and that's what you have to have. Not everybody's going to get all the credit for everything that they should. It's not going to show up on there, and you can't point to their stat sheet and say, this is why this guy is good. But I have a stat coming up later that will tell you just why.
And honestly, when you look at the top point scorers for the Preds right now, it really illustrates what you're talking about, Kyle. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, if my counting's correct, players on the Preds who have 3 points or more right now. That is spreading the wealth. I mean, you've got and that's not including Eeli Tolvanen, which is just mind-boggling that you've got 13 players with three or more points, and Eeli Tolvanen is not one of them. But we'll leave that at that. But other than that, I mean, all of your expected point scorers are getting in on the action. I mean, Roman Josi leads the clubhouse right now with 9 points. Not a big surprise there. You would expect him to be up there. But you're seeing Ryan Johansson finally produce. You're seeing Matt Duchene finally get some good puck luck. You're seeing Tanner Jeannot out there, of course. Mikael Granlund's out there. Philip Forsberg. They're all out there right now putting points together. How about Colton Sissons? You got to show some love to him.
Sissons is solid.
And let's get to your Perk's picks.
Everything.
I'm probably getting ahead of myself here because I'm going to reveal some of your picks. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited because I'm talking about a 3-game winning streak, and I can't contain myself.
And we didn't know that would be happening right now.
And I don't really have anything that bad to talk about.
Well, good.
That's good. Hey, I'm all about positivity today. I don't need any negativity in my life. I got plenty with Derrick Henry. All right, you give me all the you spoon feed me all the positive Preds you got right now, Kyle.
All right, well, we'll go on to Roman Josi. So you can't get much more positive than that.
No,
Josi looks like he did in his Norris season. He is tied for first in expected goals in defensemen in the league, and he's in the top 5 in points in defensemen in the league, and that's even including people who've played 1 to 2 more games than he has.
There you go.
He is absolutely going out there every night doing everything he can. I don't know if y'all noticed it, but whenever he went out for the shootout to seal the game, it reminded me so much of that game in Dallas last year when he was injured.
Yes.
Just the look on his face and the intensity on his face, it's like he knew that was it. He knew he was going to score.
Yeah. And the other thing about that shot was there wasn't much fancy about it. It was just him shooting it and getting it past the goaltender. There wasn't any kind of puck handling much. He just lasered it right in, which was awesome.
He didn't come in fast. He took that little swoop out to the left and was basically like, here I'm coming. This is what I'm doing. Stop it.
Yep. Love it.
So
loved every bit of it.
Josi has really, really looked good.
Listen to this. Yossi's got right now through 8 games, small sample size, but this kind of speaks to the eye test you're seeing. A lot of times analytics and eye test can sometimes really come together. What you think you're seeing with your eyes, a lot of times your analytics are going to back it up. And of course, a lot of people go to the Corsi here. Corsi rates their possession and how they're really handling the puck. Yossi's got a 60% Corsi for right now, which is by far the best he's ever had in his career through 8 games. I'm not saying he's going to hold that crazy high number, but that just goes to show you right now, the fact that he's got a 60 Corsi, that's insane. Like, to see anything in the 60s, even over 8 games, is pretty amazing to see. So he is definitely, he looks like he's on a mission this season. Like, I mean, we didn't see it as much last season. I know he was still good by most people's standards, but on Roman Josi standards, he wasn't quite as good as you're used to seeing him last season. This season, he is on a mission. I'm seeing it with my eye test, and you're seeing it with the numbers as well. It's backing it up on both sides.
Well, I think he knows what's going on with the team, and there's been a little bit of upheaval with some guys leaving, and he knows that the guys like him and Forsberg, those guys have to step up, and that's what Yossi's doing it. He's the captain.
He's also way more involved in the offense. His offensive zone start percentage is all the way up to a 73%, which is way above his career average. So, I mean, he is very much more involved right now when it comes to the offense and when it comes to driving the puck, when it comes to driving the play and trying to make things happen. And that's why you're seeing him off to such a efficient start point-wise.
Yep. He's doing it all. There's not much he's not doing. He's playing really good defense this year as well. I don't have the stats in front of me on that one, but
he's the Derrick Henry of the Preds. So, Roman Josi, can you please stay healthy for me?
Oh, yeah,
that's all I ask. I can't take another one. I can't.
No.
My next 2 are kind of going along with what y'all were talking about a minute ago in the prospects. The first one being LaRue. LaRue has had 4 goals, 10 assists for 14 points in 8 games. He had a 6-point game, 5 assists, and an empty net goal the other day. He is really playing a more mature game compared to what he was playing before. He did have a lot of discipline issues, which we all read about, all the times he's been suspended and everything else, all that kind of good stuff. So that it's good to see that he's more of a mature player now. Seems to be calmed down quite a bit, but he's still playing with that edge. If you look at his stats, he's he's almost up to 2 points per game. Last year in 33 games, he had 39 points, so just a touch over a point per game. Then 2019, 2020, he was 55 games, 53 points. So he is showing a continual improvement in his point production as he goes. If you look at Dauber, they said a forward who blends power and skill to produce at a high level. LaRue has a wicked wrist shot and underrated touch as a passer to make him dangerous as a dual threat. I think that passing has really came out and has shown up. I made a comment the other day. He was trying to become an American folk hero by dropping apples everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Zachary Appleseed.
Yep.
There you go.
So he's looking really, really good. Going on to the next one, and I'll be the first to admit that I kind of believed everything I read about him, and that's Luke Evangelista. You look at him; he's 6 foot tall, and he's all of like 170 pounds. He's like, you read all the pre-draft things. He's undersized. He's immature physically for his height, and all these other things. And he's on the London Knights, and he's down on like the 3rd or 4th line, and his minutes are bad. His point production's pretty rough. In his draft year, he was 62 games and had 61 points. So decent, not great. He was more billed as a defensive forward like Svechkov,
Right.
instead of being an offensive forward. In fact, Scott Wheeler from The Athletic said he is not a pure scorer nor a particularly dynamic surprise you playmaker. And then he's had 2 hat tricks already this year.
There you go.
So
there you go.
I think he's kind of give him the old California howdy, as Granny Clampett said.
There you go.
And
well, think about it. Evangelista is going the OHL route, which we've seen Tomasino go that route and dominate. Yes. We saw Afanasiev in the OHL. It's a really good launching pad for a lot of prospects to go down there and with the OHL. It's a respected league. I know it's not on the same level as the KHL or the AHL or maybe even a couple other leagues, but it's still a league that can really be good for prospects development. And so it's really awesome to see Evangelista just not wasting any time. And me and Rich were talking about this, Kyle, in our prospect report. David Poyle's last 3 draft classes are looking really, really good right about now with these early returns.
Yeah, we give Poyle a lot of crap for stuff. And we
won't talk about his 2018 draft class, but we'll stop at 2019. But 2019, 20, and 21, I know that you can't make sweeping evaluations until these players actually get to the NHL. I'm just saying right now where we sit, November 1st, 2021, these 3 draft classes for the most part are looking very, very good.
Yep.
Yes, they're supremely their draft classes are pretty enviably around the league as a whole. It's just I'm kind of not used to the Preds having prospects to be that.
And it takes time. About. I mean, it takes time for you. It takes time for you to see these results in the NHL. It's not like the NBA or the NFL where you can just instantly get a couple players in a draft class and they just instantly come up to your team and just make everything okay again. It just doesn't work that way. And so you even look at like the Rangers with Lafreniere, Alexis Lafreniere, who was such a highly touted number 1 prospect. Look how he's been playing with them, but he's still a very minimal part of that team. So it takes time. Even as the number 1 overall pick, it still takes time. So think about these 2nd, 3rd round picks that we're talking about here with the Preds. It takes time, and it's just nice to see that they're actually building something.
Yeah. And out of all the people who are drafted, like you said, only maybe the number 1 and sometimes possibly the number 2, they're the only ones that usually get to play the next year in the NHL.
Mm-hmm. Well, this upcoming draft class is stacked. I know, Kyle. I know you've seen some of that. Well, we're not going to get into those prospects. We got plenty of time later on to get into something like that. But from everything I've seen, this upcoming draft class is infinitely better than this past draft class we just saw.
Yes, they're a whole lot more top heavy. There's several prospects from Canada, Shane Wright being the biggest name. There's a few prospects from Russia. You've still got 2 huge ones that are coming the next year after, but it's going to be a markedly better draft this coming year than last year was. So
let's get to your next pick.
All right, so my favorite, everybody's favorite, Tanner Jeannot.
He didn't make the top. Wait. He didn't make the top of your list?
No, not this week. And you'll know why. Yeah.
You're objective. We appreciate
it. Tanner leads the team in goals with 4 goals. The Herd line. So what I was talking about, the unsung heroes, the Herd line ranks number 1 in the NHL for expected goals percentage.
Wow.
Whoa.
Number 1.
I missed that.
I did not know that.
71.8% expected goals percentage. Number 2 is the Perfection line from Boston at 66.1%.
Wow.
That's insane.
To give you a couple more lines that are pretty good lines, Hyman, McDavid, and Puljujarvi is 56.9%.
What world are we living in? What's happening right now?
And to get to the next Predators line on this list, and I got to scroll a few times to get to it, would be Forsberg, Johansson, and Duchesne at 47.5%. That statistic is expected goals for and expected goals against, and you average them out together. Anything over 50%, that line is giving your team very good chances, and they're not giving any chances up. So they're doing work.
So I got to think that the Herd line has a big reason why the Preds are on this list from Jay Fresh Hockey. Jay Fresh came on the podcast like episode 3 or 4, and he was so awesome when he came on our podcast when we first started it. But he's like one of the best to follow. And he put out yesterday, the Preds are in the top 10 in expected goals for percentage on 5-versus-5 right now. And it makes sense now because you got the Herd line as number 1. Yep. So it makes sense why the Preds are all the way up at number 10, ranked around some really good teams. The Preds are ahead of the Lightning right now. They're ahead of the Hurricanes right now. They're ahead of the Sabres, who are second place in their division right now. They're ahead of the Stars. They're right behind the Florida Panthers, who have not lost a game in regulation yet. Put that into perspective.
That's insane.
The Panthers have not lost a game. They're 8-0-1 on the season, and the Preds are right behind them on expected goals for percentage. That tells me the Preds have had some bad luck, and that luck's going to turn around if they keep doing what they're doing. That's just how I see it.
I think so. I think you're right.
This line also is first in the league in expected goals against.
Ooh. They can do no wrong. Keep them together and don't break them up ever, John Hines, or we will come after you.
So, and at this point, and I almost don't want to say this line has allowed 0 goals while they're on the ice.
And 5-on-5. They're going to give up a goal now, Kyle.
I know. I shouldn't have said it,
but you had to. The people have a right to know.
You're not the only one who said it. It's fine.
So, I was looking through Money Puck, and they have all these nice little graphics and everything. And there's one, and it just caught me by surprise because you've got all the team kind of around the middle of it, and it's expected goals versus goals for. Jeannot is up here by himself at the tippy top right, just way like out of the frame. He's so far up there that half the team isn't even shown. Wow. And his expected goals per 60 is 1.49, and his actual goals per 60 is 2.63.
Gosh.
The next closest is Forsberg with 0.72 expected per 60 and 1.05 per 60.
That's a big jump.
So it's kind of nuts, really, when you think about it.
This really speaks to what I was kind of hinting at last week, which is the Preds are gradually showing this improvement each game. They're figuring something out here. They're building on it. Even in their losses, they've shown improvement, I would like to say. The only really bad loss they've had this season where I just watched it and I was just like, this was doomed from the start, was the Winnipeg Jets game, where they just gave up 6 goals. They just couldn't figure it out. Other than that, they've been in every game this season. I'm not saying that bad luck's the reason why they lost all those games. I'm just saying, like, they're right there. They are right there, and they just got to figure it out to finish these games. Rich, have you seen the same thing, man? Like, you've kind of talked about it, right? You've said, like, they're right there. They just got to learn to finish.
They do, absolutely. And I think a lot of that obviously is with the herd line, but I think it's with the lines in general. It seems like Hines has finally found something that's working, and I just pray that he does not mess around with it like he has in the past. Like,
unless
how they are,
yes, unless there's like some type of really bad injury. Unless there's some type of really bad injury, stick with the lineup that's working right now for you.
Yeah,
even if they lose, even if they lose against Calgary, still stick with it. You got to let this thing build up.
Yeah, and like you said, all the losses that they have had, except for the Winnipeg game, they've been right in them. And that's, you just got to stick with what you're doing and just, you can't look at it like the world's going to end because you haven't won a game in 4 or whatever. So, yeah, just stick with what you're doing. Stick with the program, and it'll be okay.
So, our last Perks pick for today is he did play in the NHL, but not since 1977. And that is Terry Crisp. Terry Crisp won 2 Stanley Cups with the Philadelphia Flyers, and he won 1 as a coach for Lindsay's Calgary Flames. What would Nashville be without Terry Crisp? You would not have the Predators team you have now. God knows if you even have a team without this man. I don't think you can put a value on what he's done for the city, the community. Just to
he cultivated a fan base. I mean, he taught hockey to a lot of people like myself who didn't know what the hell hockey was, other than they fought and you got to hit that little black thing into the net. That's really, when the Preds moved here, that's really what it was about. You had the Nashville Knights for the longest time, and that's all they did was fight. No one knew anything about hockey around here. And so Terry Crisp came in and just really dumbed it down for us. Let's be honest. I mean, you're talking about such an important part of the NHL to land in this market is just, and I've watched other broadcasts. I know I'm biased here, but I've watched other regional broadcasts, and I'm telling you right now, we are so lucky to have had Terry Crisp in this market.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
The dynamic duo with him and Pete, and that's just, you can't beat those two. I would put those 2 guys up against anybody any day of the week.
Yeah. So we talked about it a little earlier, and Chad touched on it a little bit about how even now, like when you listen to, like during the intermission reports, like when they're not playing good, he dumbs down what they need to do so that normal people can understand. Like he doesn't talk about X's and O's or anything. He just says what they need to do and goes with it.
Well, I mean, he'll definitely get into the X's and O's, but he makes it to where it's very understandable for the average hockey fan, because it's a very complex sport for someone who's never played it or for someone who doesn't watch it regularly. And he's such a good person at just like saying, hey, this is what the Preds need to do. They didn't do well in this period, and this is why. And he shows it to you. And he's so genuine in the way he lets it out there to where you just really can't do anything. You can tell he loves what he does. You can tell how smart and knowledgeable he is. And it's just such a valuable thing that the Preds have had ever since the 1998 season. He's been with this team covering them since the start, him and Pete Weber. I mean, just amazing.
Yep. And I think it shows a lot of his character. There was a picture of Lindsay Rowley, who does the intermission reports with him, and she made it through the segment on TV, and then she breaks down crying after the segment. And here's Terry reaching out, wiping her tears like the grandpa that he is. And it's just, that's the measure of a man. And we were lucky to have him to help build this organization.
I don't know. I know he's got next year, but kind of just thought of something. We've been seeing like last season and a little bit this season so far, Hal Gill has been making a few more TV appearances. I wonder if they're going to slide him over into that intermission report.
That wouldn't surprise me. Hal is a hoot.
I wouldn't hate it.
If you get a chance, listen to his Bag Chucker podcast.
Oh yeah,
him and Mason and Brad Miller.
Yeah,
they are hysterical. They're funny.
It'd be good stuff.
All right. Awesome. That's a really awesome top pick for Perk's Picks this week. Hey, Chris, who else better could it be than that person right there for this week? One more thing real quick. So me and Kyle, we're kind of in a doghouse in our fantasy league this week. We're both 1-2 on the season, where we got Rich's Zachary LaRue flips off a who at 2-1. So I'm looking over the fantasy hockey league right now, and we've only got one undefeated team left right now, and that is Matt Hardesty. So it's a very competitive league here.
Matt beat the brakes off of me last week. It was awful.
He beat me as well. Well, I'm just hoping that I don't have to give my hockey team the same name that I've given my fantasy football team, which is the Factory of Sadness. I changed my fantasy football team has been called the Factory of Sadness. But my first week of changing to that team name, I'm gonna win. So I mean, maybe I'm onto something. Maybe I'm onto something here. But tell me how much worse luck you can have in two fantasy sports at the same time than drafting Christian McCaffrey for your football team, and he goes to IR, your top overall pick, and then you lose your top two picks for your hockey team with Nikita Kucherov and Mark Stone. I just don't even know what I did to piss the hockey gods off, the fantasy sports gods, whoever they are. But can I get a break here?
I'm gonna tell you something. When we were doing the draft, you saw who was up there, and you picked right before I did, and you took Kucherov, and you left Alex Ovechkin, and that's who I got, and he has been my high scorer. You had a chance.
Thanks for rubbing it in, Rich.
Kucherov.
Thanks.
I'm just telling you, I couldn't believe
Monday.
Him,
Rich is over here playing Monday morning quarterback right now.
I'm just telling you.
I just want to say Sidney Crosby came back and got me -3 points.
Who did?
Nah.
Crosby. Crosby came back and got me -3.
Yeah, that dude. And he was mad, too. I watched the clips of him playing. He was not a happy camper.
All I got to say is when my team gets back to full strength, y'all better watch out because I'm coming for you.
When Kucherov's back? When the playoffs start? Was that when he's coming back?
Well, he's going the Derrick Henry route. He's going to come around right when the playoffs start.
I'm talking a big game.
Right.
I really don't know what I'm doing. So
you could name your team the Crutcherovs.
Ooh,
yeah, there you go.
That's good. That's we might need to trademark that. That's good. Crutcherovs. That's impressive. I might have to think about that. All right. We appreciate everyone listening to this edition of Catfish and Ice, episode 76.
Yes.
Chad Mitten, Rich Howe, and Kyle Perkins. We appreciate you joining us for another episode.
Absolutely.
Brought to Podcast Network and presented by DraftKings. We've got two games we're going to be reacting to on Thursday, so we're going to have another jam-packed episode for you. So stay tuned for that later this week. Everyone stay healthy and stay safe. Take care of one another, and we will see you later this week for Catfish and Ice episode 77.
Have a good one.